There's seats over here, folks, too.
Let's get my computer up. Okay. Yeah, I'll use yours.
Hey, Rob. Paper.
Call for the regular business meeting of the Avery County Board of Commissioners, June 3rd, 2024. And welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out. And Dennis, would you lead us in prayer?
Lord, we're grateful for another day that's provided to us, the blessings that we share, being a part of this community and being part of this county. Lord, we just ask that as we come together to conduct the business of the county, that you allow us to have a sense of your peace, your wisdom, your guidance in all things, that what we say and do would be honorable to you. And Father, we just pray the decisions that were made would be for the interest of everybody involved, for the generation of the good for this county and the people that we've been elected to serve and that we are gathered here tonight. We thank you for the blessings we share to each day to be able to look around us and see the wonder of the place that we live and the people that are a part of it. We just ask your blessings upon all who are here, and we ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Let's stand, and would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's go to 3.2A, proclamations and award, and I think, Dr. Boyd, you have a presentation.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Miss Martha certainly has been on our trustees for now 8 years, and it's getting ready to come off, and certainly we're going to miss her. I first got to know Miss Martha from another mutual friend, Martha Guy, who told me, he said, I needed to get to know Martha because she was a great leader, and she certainly has been. And certainly, as for 8 years, I've relied on her wisdom and her experience and her friendship to help me and the college as we move forward. So, as you know, we do a lot of degrees at Mainland Community College, but we do very few honorary degrees for a purpose. And so, Miss Martha, if you wouldn't mind coming up. And so, by the power vested in me by the state of North Carolina and the Mainland Community College Board of Trustees, I want to award you today this associate degree in academic governance and leadership. And all rights reserved. Good. I
We'll
hope
just
you can.
have to take 1 month at a time.
Well, we hope you can.
Nobody knows, Tim, what an honor it is to serve Avery County.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been here all my life, but I thank the good Lord that He let me have this position for 16 years. And if my health hadn't begun to break, I'd probably tried to be here 4 more years. But I'm going to try to stay till December. That's when my term is up. But I just have to take 1 month at a time. But I thank everyone that
Thank you, Mr. And like I said, we're going to miss you.
I'll probably be back there.
Well, wherever you are. All right, let's move to 3.2B, public comment. And if you want to sign up for public comment or speak to an agenda item, and actually at 6:30 we'll be having a public hearing on the 2024-25 budget, so you'll need to sign up in the back. And before we get started, I'm going to read this. For the time limit for any comment to the board is 3 minutes. Board members are not expected to comment or take any action on matters during public comment. Any individual speaking during public comment shall address the entire board. Any person who willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts this session will be asked to leave the meeting. If you would like to speak to an agenda item or speak in public comment, you must sign up on the sheets at the door. Time limit to speak on an agenda item is also 3 minutes, and please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. So that you have.
I'll see. Anybody signed up for public comment? Okay.
No? Okay. Nobody for public comment. Okay, let's move on to 3.2C, board appointments, and these are a view of applicants for the Avery County Economic Development Committee. There's 3 seats open and 3 applications. And the 3 are Terry Melton and Jerry Moody and Cindy Nelson. So we will review those and vote on those at the July meeting. Okay? Our next on the agenda is for the public hearing, but we've got to wait till 6:30 for that. So we're going to move on. You think we got time for that?
20
Let's,
minutes, do you think, Mr. Chairman?
okay, let's move on to 3.3. Let's move on to 3.3A, Avery County Schools. It's Michelle Barker. Come on up, Michelle.
We're going to have just a moment to get set up.
Sure.
You want me to face them this way? Why don't you face me? Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here along with this group of warriors because God told us it was time to stand. So we stand here tonight as warriors, ground soldiers in God's army, in obedience to God and for no other reason. Thank you, commissioners, for your support of Avery County Schools. I don't know near enough of what to thank you for, but I have a few things that I do know of. You've supported the additions and renovations of Avery County High School, funded by sales tax and lottery dollars in excess of $20 million. Thank you. You've supported Avery County Schools pre-K program to ensure that all children have access to services. $70,000 recurring allocation in local budget. Thank you. You've conducted numerous joint meetings to review capital needs in all schools, which also resulted in kitchen renovations at Avery County High School, roof replacements at Crossnor Elementary School, and other improvements to facilities. Thank you so much. The focus tonight is on blessings in our school system, and that is our students, pre-K through 12th grade, the teachers, the staff, the faculty, and leaders. I would like to read something I wrote about our students back in 2011 called Consider It a Blessing, and it still holds true today. Consider it a blessing when a pre-K student holds your hand all day because they've never been away from their parents. Consider it a blessing when a kindergartner sits on your lap because they need an extra snuggle that day. Consider it a blessing when your first grader in a wheelchair sees the stress on your face while you try to help him sit comfortably at the lunch table, and he looks up at you and he calmly says, "It's okay, Miss Burnham." Consider it a blessing when a second grader needs a Band-Aid on a boo-boo that isn't really there because they're reaching out for healing from a horrible situation that we know nothing about. Consider it a blessing when a third grader gives you a high five after their first end of grade test is over. Consider it a blessing when a fourth grader is so excited about new friendships and wants your advice. Consider it a blessing when a fifth grader admits they are scared to go to middle school and trust you for their help. Consider it a blessing when a sixth grader shares with you that they love coming to school on Mondays because the teachers treat them better than their parents do on the weekends. Consider it a blessing when a seventh grader gives you a letter they wrote to you that explains what an important role model you've been in their life. Consider it a blessing when an eighth grader that always gives you a run for your money tells you they will miss you when they go to high school. Consider it a blessing when a ninth grader comes to you sharing about their need for clothes. Consider it a blessing when the parent of a 10th grader that you have struggled with is now excited
because their child came home and they told them that they loved their CTE class they were taking, and now they felt smart. Consider it a blessing when an 11th grader thanks you for the extra time you spent tutoring them because they did well on an exam. Consider it a blessing when the 12th graders walk across the stage and receive their diplomas and can't wait to find you when it's over for a picture. Yes, the real blessings, they are standing with me. Our students, our teachers, our staff, our leaders, our parents, our relationships. These are the things that money cannot buy. Y'all may be seated. The bottom line is that we are under attack. Every day is a battle. We are at war. This is spiritual warfare. Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. We cannot control that is happening, and it will continue to happen. Many citizens of Avery County are taking the bait of Satan. We're all guilty of taking the bait of Satan at times. I am as well. We have to realize that Satan wants us to fight and argue and be taken off guard, be deceived, torn apart without trust, hope, or even joy. Satan wants us to tear each other apart with our words and our actions. Satan wants our boards, the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Education, to be divided. If he can convince us to take the bait and be divided, then we are not as effective for Christ as Christ wants us to be. And I'm talking about believers. I'm talking about Christians. We know better. We have got to stand together. We have got to be united. A house divided will not stand. The Word of God is clear. It's black and white. Matthew 12:25. Every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and no city or house divided against itself will stand. When there is major division in any body where leaders from opposing sides of significant strength and influence, that kingdom will be destroyed from the inside. The Bible also tells us how to handle conflict. We must pray, and we all know that. We must pray for each other. We are to go to our brother and sister in love and seek truth. We are to be truth. Yes, we are to be kind, but that doesn't mean we'll always agree or we'll always get along. We are called to be peacemakers, not just peacekeepers, which requires handling conflict and doing the hard things. Handling conflict is a huge part of being a strong leader. I want to share with you Kirby Smart's 3 costs of leadership. You have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you really care about. You will be disliked despite your best attempts to do the best for the most. You will be misunderstood and won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. So true. Leadership is not easy, but we should strive to rise up and make our own personal standards line up with God's standards in how we handle conflict. Michael, would you bring me more water, please? The thing that is in our control is our response to spiritual warfare. We are not your enemy, and you are not our enemy. Thank you, honey. The enemy is Satan. I'm sorry, my mouth is dry. Satan is behind all of this. We are to be warriors in the face of conflict. We are all in this together. We are brothers and sisters in Christ trying to take care of our kids in Avery County. We are working towards the same goal. While we are working towards the same goal, we need to be on the same team. You, as our trusted elected commissioners, you do have the control to help our school system. We need your help. You, as the Board of Commissioners, you have control over the money we need to help our students, our teachers, our parents, and our buildings. That leads me to talk about this, motive. It's so easy for all of us to say we do everything for the kids, and I believe that. I believe that your board has made many important decisions that have helped Avery County schools because it's for the kids. I believe that our board has made many important decisions that have helped Avery County because it's for the kids. But here's where the rubber meets the road. Are our decisions at this current time based on student needs and what is best for our school system, even though we have personality conflicts with some people? So we must ask ourselves, what is our motive behind each decision? There is no way that the Avery County Schools Board of Education would know what's best in making decisions concerning Avery County without first asking the experts, the people, the citizens, the leaders, those in the trenches every day, the county manager, and those of you that sit on the board and you know these issues inside and out. Therefore, there's a level of trust that is automatically granted to you from the people of Avery County and the Avery County Board of Education. In the same respect, there is no way that you as the Board of Commissioners for Avery County would know what's best in making decisions concerning Avery County schools without first asking the experts. The people, the citizens, the leaders, those in the trenches every day, the superintendent, and those that sit on the board. Avery County Schools Board of Education and the superintendent and the staff, the teachers, and everyone knows the issues inside and out. Therefore, there's a level of trust that is automatically granted to the Board of Ed from Avery County, and we hope from the Board of Commissioners. We do need to trust each other. This is not about power or control. This is about respecting the expertise of people in the positions they are in and trusting their decisions. That leads me to the needs of Avery County schools. As stated before, we need your help. Avery County has the means, the money, to help us. This is something that is in your control. So let's focus on that, what we can control. Education is the second largest employer in our county, with health care being the largest. In education, we receive money from 3 areas, as you know: federal, state, and local. As we all know, money is a challenge with every entity. Are there enough resources? Is there enough money? This is an area where we all struggle, sometimes personally and professionally. However, we live in the best place in the world that was just in the prayer of Dennis Aldridge. We live in a place where we get to experience every season, and I've always said that's one of my favorite things. We're so blessed to still have small schools. All anyone has to do is to look at your website to see all the amazing opportunities in our county. And I love your motto, together we are Avery County. Yes, that is exactly what we are saying by being here tonight. We can do this together, but we need your help. We have 2 separate budgets that Avery County Schools presented to you: our current expense budget, which includes our people and our programs, and our capital outlay budget. Our people are top priority in Avery County Schools because it is the people that provide the services to our students on a day-to-day basis. Our programs are important because that is what provides our people with services for our kids. And our capital outlay needs, our buildings, parking lots, roof, fences, HVAC systems, sports fields, security cameras, flooring, soffits, updated equipment for cafeterias, much less our utilities and our recurring cost, which doesn't even include some of the things we would love to ask for money for, like moving our pre-Ks out from under the state requirements and moving to the transition to kindergarten. That's a program that some of our pre-K teachers and student assistants are crying out for, truly crying. My point is this: should there ever be any reason to withhold money from Avery County Schools? Who are we hurting? What is our motive? There is no amount of not liking someone that should keep our kids from receiving what they need. Are we going to step up and be the warriors in Christ like God has called us to be, even in the midst of spiritual warfare? Our choices are what we can control. Please, we are asking that you fund Avery County Schools with the amount we have asked for that will fulfill the people, the programs, and the needs of our schools. A comment was made in our budget presentation to your board that you continue to see some of the same things listed on our capital outlay list year after year, and it seemed like a long wish list. I guess you can call it a wish list because we as kids and teachers, parents, principals, leaders, we do wish that many of these things could be taken care of and paid for and removed from the list, but that would require the money to do just that, and that's to fix those things. We would love to remove many of those items from the list and we would not put them on there again if they were dealt with. Please, which one of you will step up and be bold enough to stand? I was reading in your minutes from December 4th, 2023 meeting on the annual audit report that was presented, and the minutes stated, as you well know, the government's total net position increased for the current year by $7,750,770, primarily due to improved revenue collection efforts and controlled expenses, as well as the addition of several funding resources. At the end of the current fiscal year, unassigned fund balance for the general fund was $31,273,090, or 91% of total general fund expenditures and transfers to other funds for the fiscal year. Avery County's total long-term debt decreased by $1,025,414 during the current fiscal year due to regularly scheduled payments. Avery County is blessed, and y'all are doing a great job. Avery County has the means to support our school system. Avery County has the means to provide the money to meet all of the capital outlay needs and to meet the needs of our current expenses. This affects not only many of our own family members, friends, and the future of this county, but also many of your family members. This is in your control. I have a handout to leave with you when I'm finished in just a moment that was done from a third-party research group. This to me is a little bit above me, my pay grade. But it is basically about relative funding effort. And the bottom line is the relative measure of how much a county actually spends on education per student versus how much the county could spend per student. And I would like to share that with y'all. Jesus says it like this: you are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it has lost its flavor? Can you make it useful again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. You are the light of the world, like a city on a mountain, glowing in the night for all to see. Don't hide your light under a basket. Instead, put it on a stand and let it shine for all. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise our Heavenly Father. We are warriors called to make a difference. Let's remember who the real enemy is, and let's stand together, united as one. Thank you very much. And I'll, Philip, may I give you the handout?
Michelle, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Very well said.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We don't have the time. Yeah.
Do you want this one, go into the period, then recess it?
We can do that. Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay with the board?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you, Michelle.
If you,
We can go into public hearing and then recess.
And then
If anybody wants to
recess it,
respond to
then
Michelle, we can.
is that okay? Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
We've got 1 minute.
Okay.
So if you just want to announce that that's what we're going
Okay.
to do.
We are going, at 6:30, we have a public hearing on the budget, and we're going to go into the public hearing and then recess, and then any of the commissioners that want to respond to Michelle will be able to do that at that time. Okay? So, is it 6:30?
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
About the official clock. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. 3.2D is public hearing for year 2024-2025 budget. And I need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. We're going to, now we need to recess the public hearing.
Recess the public hearing, go back into.
And we need a motion to go back
Regular
into regular
No,
session.
You don't
Any
have to have a motion.
Okay.
You just
We
recess.
can just go back into regular session.
Go back
And any
in.
commissioner that wants to respond, now's your time.
Like I said earlier, Michelle, thank you. It's very well said.
Thank you for allowing me to do this.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
As we look at this issue, there are some things I think that needs to be brought to bear here in terms of the funding. You mentioned withholding funds several times, and that's a matter of degree, I think, because I also like to look at what was actually spent.
Yes.
That's pretty relative, I think.
Yes.
This coming budget year, the money used for just the local expenditures and the $750,000 of capital, $6,255,000. That money, that's 30% of all of the ad valorem property taxes received by the county this year. 30%. Whenever you add in the debt service that we're paying on the capital projects that have already been extended, and since 2017, there's been about $24 million expended or committed on capital projects, school roofs, the new renovation at the high school cafeteria right now. This year, this coming year, the actual dollars that will be spent by the county to satisfy the local funding, the capital needs, the debt retirement, and this new renovation is $9,668,000.
$279.
That's 33% of that. If you take that divided by the total student population, that's about $5,500 per student. So I think when we look at it in terms of withholding money, I think it depends on where the maximum is. I've talked to a lot of other counties in terms of how they fund and where they go and what they use, and the fact is our student census is falling this year, as it has almost every year since I've been on the board. And there's got to be a strategic plan to address this funding loss from the state, because it follows directly with the student population. And so the state is funding less, and they're coming to the county to put more. That gulf is widening and widening, and it's not sustainable. And we're funding at a rate that is well above the surrounding counties and most of the ones in North Carolina. The total school board budget this year was budgeted for $29,365,735. This local money is about 21% of that. So when you talk about withholding, it's as if we are punishing, and your comments about using it because of dislike or not being involved in someone else or personality conflicts, that has nothing to do with my decisions. My decisions are based on what we have as the county, the funding we do, the students that we serve, the comments that we receive. We receive comments also from the population in terms of how we are to fund the school system. Everyone wants the school system to be funded. I mean, there's not a person here, and we do well fund the schools. And well, this coming year, as we have asked for, to have any capital projects brought back, and we would consider those. And that's not overreach on our part, that's the checks and balances that the system has. And yes, we work together as the different boards, but we are the elected body to represent the people of Avery County in every way. And this is what, it's our responsibility to look and to be aware and to make informed decisions based on those things that we see. The money that's come in, the COVID money, the ESSER money that's come in the last 4 years, immense amounts of money. We've had many discussions over the expenditure of that and how that might have been used. It was always used in the way that it could have been done, but should it have been? That's the question that we have. And that's the way that we're not looking at it in terms of trying to create any strife, but merely for accountability and to make sure that the right thing was done in each and every situation. So, yes, we have fund balance in the county. Last time there was a property tax, a property revaluation, we chose to cut the ad valorem tax rate 15 cents, which is below revenue neutral, because we understand the growth that's coming in our county. We bet on that. And this year we're taking money out of fund balance to balance our budget in a term of about $3 million, because we had that money that was steward, that was held back. So that way there's no increase in taxation. And if there's a proposal to fund on a tax basis or an increase in tax basis, we're not looking to do that. We think that's not responsible for the people that we serve. So as we move forward, I think the challenges we have are the ask, in your case here, of fund the request without reservation. I don't think that's a charge that we have. That's not our that's not our function. Our function is to look and try to provide, like this year with those things, pre-K, supplies, those things that we feel would be directly beneficial to the students and the teachers and the people that are part of what's going on in the community. So, yes, we did not fund the entire amount. We were short $750,000, but we gave $6,255,000 to fund the schools.
And we will be giving more because the kitchen being built at the high school and remodeled, we did not put money in there to buy new tables, new chairs, new equipment. And anybody knows that stainless steel is very expensive. And we will be doing more for the school.
There are plans for several proposals for roofs and parking lots and all those things that you mentioned that can be addressed. And the high school, by the way, one thing you mentioned, that the high school was funded with lottery funds. That is not the case. That was all local funding. There were no lottery funds used.
A lot of these funds was for the bleachers, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, that was used for the bleachers, but not for the renovation.
I'd like to say one thing. I'd like to go back to the meeting that we had jointly with the Board of Education. John, I'm sorry. I'm gonna call you out. You made the statement that we spent more on the pool, ag building, community room, and the DSS building than we did on the schools. With a little research, ag building cost us $1,653,973. Community room, $1,482,205. The pool, $2,511,76. And the DSS building, $2,658,518. At a total of $8,305,771. In that same period, the high school renovation $19,850,916. Cross Knoll Roof, $1,398,760. Of course, the high school bleachers, $348,564. High school kitchen, $2,140,924. Cranberry Freedom Trail HVAC, $104,040. At a total of $23,873 to $873,278. We spent 1/4 as much on county buildings, the 4 county buildings we built, as we did on the school system. 8 million, a little over 8 million on the county buildings, $24 million on the schools.
I don't know if I can respond appropriately, since you called my name out, I don't know if it would be appropriate to respond, if that's okay with the chair. Okay. If I said you spent more, I misspoke. I don't remember saying that. I remember saying we spent a lot over the past few years, because in the past, since I've been on this board, actually, well, since 2010, we've asked for an alternative gym, the cafeteria, which we're finally working on, and an auditorium. My point was not that you spent more. I know that. If I said more, that was a mistake on my part. I don't remember saying that, but I may have would. But my point was that the schools are used by over 1,700 kids a day. The pool is used 2 months a year. The ag building, and I don't begrudge one of those buildings, not one of them. I think that's great. As Michelle said, we have the ability to pay. The paper she handed out to you, I think it says we have the ability, or 6th in the ability to pay. We are 94th, I think, in the state in actual the effort to pay. But my point again was that with the school system, we do have money to do all these other things. Our buildings are getting old. That high school, we appreciate the high school. Every one of us, except Martha, that's sitting at that table right there, and me included, got to go to almost a brand new high school, because the commissioners back in the 60s had the foresight to do that. We didn't get a brand new high school by any stretch. We love what we got, and that's what we asked for, along with some other things. But it wasn't that, my point was not that you spent more on anything in the county. We know the school system takes a lot of money because it's a big entity. It's the biggest employer of the county other than healthcare. We're probably real close second. But it takes money. If we want to keep schools, not consolidate, if we want to keep teachers and we want to keep programs, it takes money. We've had, over the past 5 years, I think, average 2% increase. How many people have been to the grocery store? Has bread 2% more than it was 5 years ago? It's not. Same with the school system. Everything has gone up. Yes, you spend more because it costs more. You ask why what should have, could have, what we should have done with the ESSER's money. We did, our ESSER's audit was great. And you know that because it was reported by a third-party auditor. We saved the money. That's why we only asked for 2%, because we used $8 million or thereabouts of ESSER money. Instead of using Avery County citizens' money, we used that ESSER's money. We were good stewards to Avery County. And now that money's gone. Over 2%, then you're wanting us to go back almost to what we were spending in 2019. We can't do it. We can't do it and maintain the services that people of Avery County. You said you're the business of Avery County. Well, these kids that were here, and some of them still are here, they're the business of Avery County. So, nope, you didn't spend more, Woody, I grant that. And if I said that, I misspoke. And I apologize for that, because I didn't mean to say that. But we can spend on other things. We're getting ready to do, how much is the rec building we're starting to do?
Don't know.
Don't know?
It's
Well,
not a
probably-
Ballparking.
thing.
If we did, what was that? What ballparking? Anybody even have a clue of what it would be?
That's why we're doing research to find out.
I mean, is it 100,000? Is it 18 million? Is it
Somewhere
somewhere?
between that.
Okay, yeah. I'd say it's close to the 18 and 100. But with that, and I don't begrudge that at all. But at the same time, we need the facilities for the school that are used every day except through the summer. And even through the summer, they're used. We're just asking for that. Not for Michelle, not for me, not for Dr. Bregman, or any of these parents. It's for this little girl right here.
Yeah.
That's what we're asking for. So anyway, that was longer than I did, but that's why.
Michelle's time.
Well, just like y'all, we have a budget, and we have to balance that budget. And we don't like to use fund balance appropriation to balance the budget, but we had to. That's where we're at right now, using fund balance to balance the budget. And you talk about capital, but when you talk $750,000 for capital project, that's not even a drop in the bucket to really what we're spending when you talk about roofs and new schools and kitchen renovations. All that comes into play because that's still, bottom line, that's taxpayer money and it's coming out of our budget.
But
So-
there's actual budget this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I just go back to the ability to pay and the effort to pay.
And then you jump on, talked about the new rec building. We don't know what it's gonna cost, but those 1,700 students you mentioned will be welcome in that building every day.
I know, but they won't be
Every
in that
day.
building every day. They will be in our schools every
Well,
day.
they might be in it every day, you never know.
It's Michelle's time.
Go ahead.
Well, in no way is any of this, to stir up an argument in any sort of way. Because, I told you the truth of why I was here, and I will stand by that truth from now until forever. So it's not to stir up, because we know who the enemy is. We're not your enemy and you're not ours. So forgive me for saying the word withholding, that it was received the way it was, because I didn't mean it like you did not provide for our schools. I did try to start this very thing with thanking you for things you had done and hoped that that would be the precedence for you knowing, thank you. I haven't been on the board very long. I don't know all the things you've done. I could probably find out, but I needed to get to what I needed to get to. But I started with thanking you. So we do thank you and we will continue to thank you. I understand that withholding funds is a relative term, but I think in the course of things that have taken place, there does seem to be quite a bit of talk that we either believe or we don't believe, that's on social media or out in the public or within our own families and friends. And I guess having said that, I would just say I pray that our decisions and our motives really are truly based on the needs of kids and not what we hear. That paper that I did give you does explain, you were saying, Mr. Aldridge, the amount per student, which we're grateful for, but that paper does explain with numbers and calculations what we are able to pay as a county based on certain things and what we are paying, and it is a huge difference. I understand you have a budget, and also in this time I said, we do not claim to know your role in everything that you do to make decisions. But we also want the same respect of you trusting us, knowing that what we're asking for is responsible and they are good decisions at the same time. I think the Esther's money, again, is we have had audits on that and talked about that, and I think there's different perspectives. But I feel like in education, even though you plan out budgets for time and overtime, in education, it's very different in the way that when you're dealing with children, there are times that you have to deal with what you have to deal with when you have to deal with it. And that might not be the same for a building, or, I'm not downplaying the buildings, but the kids really are the need. And sometimes that is what takes precedence with money. And we are not asking you to make decisions without reservation. The reason we're in good shape is because we are in a blessed county and we are blessed and you have made good decisions. So we respect that. Definitely not asking you to do it without reservation, but just to have some trust and some open conversation where we could talk through things and take the budget that we're given and do with it what we need to do.
Michelle, you mentioned open conversation. I think that it would be in the best interest of both boards to sit down and openly discuss what the needs truly are. And I mean, be very forthcoming and honest about it, for what's needed. And we can all sit down and take a look at it and see what the needs truly are. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And I agree.
think it would behoove both boards to do that.
And I think it'd be good to let the taxpayers be involved in that also. It's their money we're spending.
Absolutely. And I mean, as far as I know, the list that has been made and is presented already to you is a list that is needs. We gave you the full list, but we were asked at the meeting, do we have a prioritized list? And we do. They're all needs, but there is a priority that's laid to them because some are of more priority than others.
Are you familiar with the minimum funding protocol?
No, sir, probably not.
The process for minimum funding for each year is based on previous year funding. That's from DPI. So the actual expenditures for a district is then divided by the student population, average daily population. And then an inflation factor is applied to that. And that number is the minimum funding for the next year divided by the number of students. So each time that money is expended, it sets a new ceiling, or excuse me, a new floor going forward, if there's arbitration or if there's any dispute between the boards. So there's no such thing as a one-time expenditure for this year. I mean, it's all sequential, exponential. It grows each year upon the next year. So that we have to keep that in mind also. As our student population continues to fall, we're having these minimum funding requirements, and there has to be that. You know, that's one of the things when we're talking about, you know, these plans on how do we deal realistically with student population that's going down and facilities that are becoming, John mentioned contraction in the schools. These are discussions and decisions that are facing us, and the more we're aware of that and go forward, so we have to be aware that when we put a budget into play, that budget is next year's budget also. And we cannot contract from that without much less population because of increase. So that's one of the many factors that we have to take in consideration when we're looking at funding.
And I do believe, and as I said, I'm new at all this, but I believe the handout I gave you does talk about the Avery average daily membership, and it does take into consideration taxpayers' dollars and certain things. I do have a paper on how that was calculated. I'll be happy to give it to you, Philip, if you don't mind, in case anybody wanted to see it later. I know this is not an appropriate time, but that sounds very much so like what you were explaining.
Michelle, I'd like to say that what time I have spent here with the county and with the school board, a lot of times when we used to go to Raleigh, other counties was asked us, well, how do you get along with your school board? And we was so proud to say that we work together. And I think that we have done, both parties has done a good job. And I hope as I leave that you continue to do that and
Yes,
work
ma'am.
together.
I agree.
Because it's very important. It, just like you said, if you fight against each other and stuff, you'll never get nothing accomplished.
Right.
But I do thank the school board and the people here in the county that is trying to keep everything going. I know that we throwed for 16 years, our probation officers did not have a place to go. Just anywhere we could find a corner and put a desk there and put them in it, that's where we put it. And I'm glad to see that they're getting a building.
Yes.
But we just kept throwing that aside, thinking we could work out something else to make it easier. But I'm proud of you, and let's all stay together.
Amen. I totally agree, and speaking from a teacher, 21 years in Avery County, you know, I didn't know really the impact and the importance of the commissioners and the Board of Ed. I just knew that they were nice and important, and I loved seeing them in my classroom. But I didn't really understand all the workings of everything. So this is a new side for me, and I think it's really good for teachers and county taxpayers and everyone to be involved in all that we decide, even when schools create their capital outlay list. You know, that's principals, teachers, parents, everybody creating that list for the needs, and then it goes, you know, on down the line. But I'm proud to be a citizen of Avery County.
Amen.
And I'm proud to have been a teacher in Avery County for 21 years and now to serve in a different way. So I agree. We're gonna keep on keeping on as long as we can all remember that we're not each other's enemy. And that goes for all of us, everywhere, because we're not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody? Very good. Thanks, Michelle.
Ready for public
Do we need a motion today?
No, we can just go back in to get a motion.
Okay. All right, we're going to go back to 3.2D, public hearing for the 24-25 budget. Mr. Barry.
All righty. To the Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Avery County, in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 159-11, the Avery County fiscal year 24-25 proposed budget is respectfully submitted for your review and consideration during this public hearing. This document provides the financial framework for the programs and services which Avery County government will be undertaking in the next fiscal year. The budget provides the resources needed to ensure the delivery of governmental services in a physically responsible manner. The proposed budget is a continuation of the financially sound and conservative practice Avery County government has established and embraced. This public hearing is held in order to inform the public and to allow any interested citizens the opportunity to express their opinions on the budget after the budget message is presented. The board held budget workshops in order to make changes to the proposed budget. This budget message represents an explanation of the budgetary decisions derived as a result of in-depth dialogue between the county manager, assistant county manager, finance officer, department heads, and changes made during the budget workshops. The cumulative total of necessary operational and capital expenses considered in light of revenues generated by the departments, combined with state and federal funding, determines the amount of funding which will be necessary from the citizens of Avery County. The 24-25 budget, as presented, is balanced based on a total valuation of $6.315 billion. This represents an increase of $301,232.88 million, or 5.01% over last year's valuation of $6.014 billion. The general fund tax rate will remain at 33.5 cents per $100 valuation, which will generate an estimated $20.7 million in revenue. The countywide fire tax will remain at 6.5 cents. The Fire Commission and volunteer fire departments will receive an estimated $3.99 million in revenue. The combination of these two rates result in an overall tax rate of 40 cents for the 24-25 fiscal year. This rate remains to be a decrease from the revenue neutral tax rate and a 15-cent decrease from the 21-22 fiscal year. Current inflation and economic conditions place a burden on Avery County's working families. It also makes balancing the county budget difficult. Overall expenses are projected to increase 6.85% from the 23-24 budget. In order to keep the tax rate at the current rate and balance the budget, it is necessary to appropriate $3 million from the fund balance, as has been the practice during several times of economic uncertainty. Avery County Commissioners have pledged to keep the ad valorem tax rate the same for our taxpayers for the 24-25 fiscal year. Now we'll go to expenses. The total general fund budget is set at $39.6 million. This is a 6.85 increase from the 23-24 fiscal year. General government is increasing $158,794. The increase is primarily attributed to an employee cost of living adjustment. Avery County will follow the salary and classification plan as approved. The county continues to take a proactive approach with buildings, general maintenance, and capital service needs. Public safety is increasing $1,106,083. The increase includes an added debt position, new software, service contract enhancements, and 3 new vehicles and body cameras for the detention employees. Transportation is increasing $269,481. The increase is due to 5 new vehicles and the increased cost of fuel. Environmental protection decreased $294,998, primarily due to no current major capital needs for the solid waste department. Economic and physical development is increasing $129,878. The increase is primarily due to operating expenses. The Economic Development Committee plans to host other employee retention seminars for businesses, advertise with the Chamber of Commerce, and attend training seminars. The budget will also cover a contracted services for the county occupancy tax that will begin in 24-25. These expenditures will not exceed $47,250. Funding for human resources is increasing $1,075,831. The increase is primarily due to the new state Medicaid program and the employees to administer the program, which are partially funded with state and federal revenues. Cultural and recreation is decreasing $6,083. The primary reason is there is no major capital needs for the Parks and Rec Department, as plans for a new recreation center continue. Funding for the Mountain Alliance Youth Program, the Avery County Fair, Little League, NC Rush Soccer, Dogtown Wrestling, Oasis, and others are all addressed in this budget. Also budgeted is the animal service contract with Mitchell County Animal Rescue. Thanks to state funding, architectural plans for the 2 county shelter will be announced soon. Education is locally budgeted at $6,721,328, an increase of $113,555. This includes a $8,555 increase for Mayland Community College. The remaining increase of $105,000 is due mainly to free pre-K and supplies for students in Avery County schools. In addition to the regular capital outlay of $750,000, the debt payment for the new Avery County High School of $925 and the continued payment for Banner Oak School of $347,355 will be made. Also not reflected in this budget is the project for the Avery County School kitchen, roof, and HVAC renovation of $2,140,924. Other safety capital needs may additionally be addressed with project ordinance throughout the year. Student population is estimated to decrease from 1,823 students to 1,768 for the 24-25 school year. The Avery County Schools operational local funds budget is $5,505,000. With the yearly capital, the debt service, and the project ordinance, the total local dollars for Avery County Schools committed in 24-25 will be $9,668,279, or 33% of the ad valorem and local option sales tax revenues. When divided by the estimated student population, that will be $5,468.49 per student. Of the total budgeted expenditures, public safety is the largest, consuming 30% of the total budget. Education and the associated debt service is the next largest expenditure at 20%. Human services is third at 18%, while all other county functions total 30%. Revenue. Property tax revenue is projected to increase $920,000, or 4.64% from last fiscal year. Local option sales tax are projected to increase $406,238. Sales tax has rebounded from the expected decrease due to COVID-19, and we continue to experience growth in our economy. Other taxes and licenses are projected to only increase $60,000 due to projected slowdown in real estate sales. Intergovernment revenues are projected to decrease $18,400. Licenses and permits are projected to increase $62,000 over last fiscal year. Sales and services are projected to increase $201,000, primarily due to the increase in revenue in EMS and state funding for transportation. Investment earnings and other income are projected to increase $200,000 due to higher forecasted investment income. Property tax revenue will generate 52% of the county's revenue, followed by the sales tax at 21%, intergovernmental transfers at 8%, sales and services at 7%, and fund balance appropriation at 7%, and all others at 5%. The fire tax fund budgeted for 24-25 fiscal year is $3.99 million, or $199,606 more than last fiscal year. The E911 fund budget for fiscal year 24-25 is $189,942. This is an increase of $6,402 from the prior fiscal year. The revaluation fund budget is $137,076.88 for the fiscal year 24-25. Avery County budgets annually for the mandatory revaluation. It should be noted that the county performs an in-house revaluation using existing staff as opposed to contracting the service out. January 2026 will be our next effective date for revaluation. Avery County is proud to report that the county fund balance exceeds the state requirements. This amount provides great financial stability and coverage in the event of a catastrophic event was to strike the county. The county must have the financial resources available to address unknown and unexpected situations that could cripple our community if we are found unprepared. Over the past several years, Avery County has developed and adhered to a financial plan designed to promote a pay-as-you-go capital philosophy. As a result of this philosophy, the county has funded and completed the Agriculture Center, the Avery County Community Center, County Recreation Pool, and the new classroom addition for Avery County High School, and the new DSS building. As a result of proper capital planning, the use of the lottery funds, and the use of some fund balance, Avery County has been able to avoid any tax rate increase for the construction of any of these capital projects. The current major capital projects are Avery County kitchen renovation, started spring of '24 to finish August of '24, estimated cost of $2,140,924. Parks and Rec Center to start spring of '25, finish fall of '26 at an unknown estimated cost. With funding from the state budget grants, Avery County has completed the new DSS building and is currently finishing the probation and parole office. Work has begun on the new addition to the Elk Park Fire Department. The attached 24-25 fiscal year budget ordinance for Avery County contains the detailed breakdown in anticipation of revenues and expenses for the year to end June 30th, 2025. This ordinance is respectively presented for adoption this third day of June 2024.
Okay. Does anybody want to comment on the budget for 24-25? Commissioners, anybody want to comment on the budget?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I understand that it's the best we can do. But I don't like us setting our budget on unknown funds. I know that's the way you have to do it. I still don't like it. And I don't like the idea of continuing to take money out of the reserves to balance a budget. Because it's very possible at some point in time, it's going to catch up with us, if that makes sense. And I don't like the idea of what that will entail. But don't get me wrong, I I'll support the budget. But to me, it's not ideal.
No government has any money, does not have any money they've not taken from somebody else. That's the reality. And we're very well aware of that. So as we put this together, with the needs that were presented, we were doing our best not to take any more from anybody. And the appropriation that we did was based on anticipated growth. We have been very blessed, that's true. But that is not, as Woody says, an assured thing into the future. But we are betting on that for this year. We're looking for that growth to cover that balance. Because in doing this way, with that anticipation, we do not place any additional tax burden on the citizens, which was one of our primary, we sort of began with that and worked backwards into that number. And this is what we come up with. This budget is the result of many, many hours of work and compromise and moving back and forth and telling some of the county departments that what they were asking for is not going to happen this year, or different things like that. So we're very well aware of the fiscal responsibility we have to the county in the balancing of the revenue versus the expenditures is something we battle every day. And we try desperately not to put ourselves in a position where as the year goes along, we will have to have Caleb come to us with the dreaded budget amendments to change the budget based on what might or might not be needed. With that, just like we were talking about during the education discussion, but that is one of the things as we go into this year that we are very actively looking at to see what that might look like, utilizing a combination of funds and funding sources. But I agree with Woody, it's not the ideal situation, but short of dipping into the public pocket a little bit more, this is our best solution.
Well, and at best guess, a budget is a guess from the get-go. So there will be times probably that emergencies arise and we do have to do some budget amendments, and that's just part of the system. But I personally would like to thank Philip and especially Caleb and Cindy and all the Caleb staff for a great job. They put in a lot of long hours and worked hard to get this where it's at, and I thank you for that.
Our department heads has a lot to do with the budget. They bring in a budget to Philip and Cindy and Ashley and who else? And Caleb. Not leave Caleb out, but he does pay our bills. And we're glad he does. It's just like being at home, when you get an extra bill, you'll say, oh Lord, I didn't know that was coming. You go ahead and pay it though, and do without if you have to. And we pray that we never have to do without here in the county, and I don't think we will as long as we handle the money right and do the right job. And our department heads does a wonderful job. They really do. And I'll have to say Mike Buchanan back there. I've worked with Mike, and he always brought us a list to go over and tell us what was wrong with this guttering and what was falling off of this. And I really miss them lists because it helps you to know, like in a home, where you're going to start first and where you're going to end last. And Mike, I do appreciate you, and Tammy back there, she does a great job with the food service stuff, and we do thank her and each employee, our tax collector, our inspecting office, I don't want to leave anyone out because I'm proud of our workers and hope it continues, and I'm sure it will.
Just so you know, this is our budget book.
I like to never got mine up the hill.
Anybody else? Any commissioners?
Call again for public comment.
Okay. Anybody got a public comment they want to make before we get out of the public
Checking
hearing?
to see if anybody has.
No, I signed it.
No sign of it. Okay. So we need a motion to go out of the public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Okay. Next, we need a motion to approve the budget as presented.
I make a motion that we approve the budget as was presented here today.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we will move along to 3.3, County Commissioner staff items, and that would
Ms.
be...
Clerk, don't we need to go out of
We did.
public hearing?
We did.
We did?
did, yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. We will move to subdivision approval 911 at
I'm thinking
Cranberry, Phase 2A. Mr. Derek Buchanan.
Good evening, board.
David.
I'll be hopefully a little quicker and not long-winded. So I've got final plat approval for 1911 at Cranberry, Phase 2A. That only consists of 7 lots this go around. And we've been through all the necessary planning board meetings, preliminary and finals. And everything was good to go on their end, so if you got any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Anybody have any questions? All right, need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I need to get a signature.
Okay. You can do it. Okay. That is 6-3, right? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Get to the next page. We'll go to 3.3C, Tax Administrator's Court, Mr. Andrew Turberfield.
Please approve our collections for the month of May of $92,734.28.
Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Our collection rate now is at 98.21%.
That's good.
Very good.
Very good.
Please approve my releases for the month of May, $76.59.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Our revaluation sales for May of 2024 as compared to May of 2023. This is a little short because I did this before I went on vacation, so we're missing a week. 35 sales, we were at 59%. Last year we were at 68 sales at 68%. Then my last thing is a letter from our business personal property person. We have someone appealing a bill. We have a business owner who said he closed his business several years ago, but never responded to the letters that we sent to him, because we always would follow up saying, hey, you haven't listed. This year we got his attention, and he signed off that he had closed his business in 2011, and he is asking for you all to release from 2011 to current for a total of $2,851.57. So basically, his business was closed. He didn't let us know. We don't know unless you tell us. We generated bills, sent letters, and finally got a response this year.
Do you have proof that the business was actually closed?
Nothing other than his word.
He's not even sold his business or says he's not sold
Just
it.
said he closed it, and he just never responded. We send listings every year, then when we don't get a listing back, we send a follow-up letter saying, hey, send us your listing in. Then we send a discovery letter, then we send a tax bill. All of those things keep generating year after year.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion any further discussion? Let's put it that way. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move to 3.3D. Avery County Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee for year 24-25. Grant application recommendation. Ms. Sarah Price from the High Country Council of Governments.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. Sarah Price with High Country Council of Governments. I'm here this evening to present, to discuss the memo that was provided in your packet this evening, which are the recommendations on behalf of the Avery County Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee, which has been working the last 2 years reviewing applications for the county that have been received from nonprofit organizations for funds received as part of the National Opioid Settlement Funds. In total, for this upcoming fiscal year, the county received 4 applications. Across those 4 applications, the advisory committee is recommending the expenditure of $182,250. There's some information in the memo about where this funding comes from. I did want to let you guys know that the settlement that is the initial settlement from July 2021, you'll often hear referred to as the Wave 1 settlement funds, and then the settlement from December 2022, you will often hear referred to as the Wave 2 settlement funds. And then the other update is that AmerisourceBergen has recently begun the process of changing their name to Cencora. So if you see reference to Cencora moving forward in any documentation, that's referencing AmerisourceBergen, which was included in the Wave 1 settlements. Last year, the county held their first public input meeting in April of 2023. I presented to you last year the recommendations from the advisory committee at that point in time. In following that same process, the county maintained the same advisory committee, and 4 out of 7 of those members of the advisory committee are now in their 2nd year of participation. In the memo, I did detail to you who were the members of that advisory committee. I was included as part of the advisory committee as an advisor, but I was a non-voting member of the committee. For this year, we received the proposals through a request for proposals RFP process that was open for the entire month of April. The advisory committee the county received in total 4 applications from nonprofit organizations. The advisory committee met on May 6th, had some supplemental information that was requested from all 4 organizations that submitted proposals to the county, and met for a second time on May 20th. On May 20th as well, the Drug Crisis Roundtable, as you're well aware, the monthly group of professionals, concerned citizens who meet to discuss this monthly, were also presented some of the initial thoughts and recommendations from the advisory committee at that point, and some additional questions were requested at that time. All of the information has been presented to the advisory committee. And then I'm going to now go forward and just give you a summary of all 4 applications that were received. The advisory committee is recommending at least partial or full funding for all 4 organizations. If you have any questions or want me to go into more detail on any of the proposals that were received, I'm happy to do that as well. And this is just going in alphabetical order of the organizations received. Freedom Life Avery was the first application that was received and reviewed by the advisory committee, requesting a total of $75,000. As you're probably familiar, the opioid settlement funds need to be authorized by strategy. Currently, the county is eligible to expend funds under option A strategies. There are 12 different choices. Freedom Life Avery is requesting funding under the collaborative strategic planning and reentry programming strategies. The funding requested is to continue the reentry programming that they have operating in the Avery County Jail, as well as expanding the effectiveness of their reentry executive council and their executive team and their full council as well. They have a number of action teams that are working on a variety of topics such as housing, transportation, employment, substance use and mental health, family wellness, legal needs, and then community advocacy and networking. In the upcoming year, the advisory committee is hoping that Freedom Life Avery will make significant progress in the development of their volunteer networking system, and the goal is to have that operating in all 7 towns in Avery County. And that is to support some of the long-term goals of Freedom Life Avery to help bolster their sustainability long-term for the programming. In total, the advisory committee scored this application as a 76.71 out of 100 points. High Country Community Health was the second organization that was received, requesting $100,000 under the evidence-based addiction treatment and naloxone distribution strategy selections. High Country Community Health also received funding in the first year that the county offered funding through the opioid settlement funds. And so this funding application was to expand capacity for their medications for opioid use disorder, or MOUD team that operates in Avery County. They offer programming in a primary care setting, offer case management, healthcare services, connection to community resources. And so this funding would be to continue and expand the programming that's offered here in Avery County, since their services do cover both Avery and Watauga counties. This application was scored as a 70.14 out of 100. Marjorie Williams Academy requested $50,000 under the collaborative strategic planning and early intervention strategies. Marjorie Williams Academy has not previously received funding under the opioid settlement funds from the county. And this application was specifically to hire a specially licensed education resource teacher that would work one-on-one with a small subset of students that have been identified as being at risk. There is a qualification-based system that Marjorie Williams Academy has developed as to how they would identify the students that would participate in this additional program. And then specifically this funding would also be to work on some of the behavioral and social and emotional needs of some of these students. So it would expand beyond some of the academic needs of some of this small subset of students in Marjorie Williams Academy. That application scored a 66.43 out of 100 in total. Mediation and Restorative Justice Center was the fourth and final application that was received from the county, or for the county, requesting a total of $50,897 under the Recovery Support Services, naloxone distribution, and post-overdose response team strategies. This is a partnership application that is a combined project with MRJC as well as the Avery County Health Department, and then the Avery County Community Paramedic as well. This is a mobile outreach and peer recovery support program that would operate monthly programming throughout the county, utilizing some of the mobile health units that the county purchased during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a unique application that's combining some already existing resources that the county has, as well as bringing together some partnerships between 3 different organizations that would be working on this project specifically. This application scored a 92.14 out of 100. The funding recommendations by the advisory committee, Freedom Life Avery, they are recommending $56,250. The thought process behind that was following along with what the application was scored at, which was just shy of 75% of the total possible score. So that would amount to a little over $56,000 of their requested $75,000. It's the expectation of the advisory committee, and it is the hope for the county that there will be significant progress made in the upcoming year on the development of the volunteer networking system for Freedom Life Avery, because it's really felt that this, moving forward, that they, in order to expand operations, that they're going to need additional supports, and it is the viewpoint of Freedom Life Avery that the best avenue for that currently is through volunteers. High Country Community Health, the advisory committee is recommending $50,000 out of the requested $100,000. And primarily, this is because the committee was concerned about the significant expense of the requested application for this particular organization. In addition to that, the advisory committee is expecting that High Country Community Health will make significant advances in the next year on expanding their community partnerships and some of their referral pathways currently operating in Avery County. There's currently only one primary healthcare facility and only one dental facility that both operate in Newland, and so it is the hope and expectation of the advisory committee that some of the ways that people in need here in Avery County are connected to this service will be expanded in the upcoming year. Marjorie Williams Academy, the advisory committee is recommending $25,000 out of the requested $50,000. The committee is supportive of the proposed project and is curious about some of the implementation strategies for this particular project. Ultimately, the committee hoped that by funding this organization, that there will be some opportunities for the county in the future to potentially implement similar programming in other schools, since this application specifically is just for Marjorie Williams Academy. In addition to that, this is a somewhat unique application in that this is the only one that would be dealing with some intervention strategies for youth here in Avery County, primarily. The other three would primarily be assisting adults here in Avery County in their recovery journey. Mediation and Restorative Justice Center and the partner application with that one, the advisory committee was very encouraged by the unique nature of the collaborative efforts for this project and the ability to bring together some already existing county resources. The advisory committee is recommending funding this application in full and rounding that number up to an even $51,000. It's the hope of the advisory committee that this will be a successful example of the collaborative community partnerships, as well as successfully leveraging expertise between the community paramedic, the health department, and MRJC services. In total, the advisory committee, should you choose to accept their recommendations in full, it would be funding $182,250 split across 6 different of the 12 different choices for strategies under the option A strategies. There is an Exhibit A included in the memo that actually goes through the scoring rubric that the advisory committee used. You can see the specifics of what was reviewed. I did bring a copy of my binder that has all 4 applications, so if you do have specific questions about any of the applications, I'd be happy to answer that as well. As far as next steps go, for what is presented as recommendations for you currently, we will need to, should you choose to accept the committee's recommendation or whatever what you choose to fund ultimately, I will then go back to the organizations that will be receiving funding through the opioid settlement funds and to get an amended budget as well as a scope of work. Each organization will sign a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with the county that will be sent to the county attorney for review prior to being signed by any of the organizations. and a signed copy of that MOU will be required to be returned prior to actually sending out any funding to any of these organizations. I did not cover any updates for the 2 organizations that have already received funding. Those grants will be ending on June 30th of this year of 2024. And like I said initially, both of those organizations did submit an application to the county for this upcoming fiscal year to continue the programming that they were funded for initially. I also did not cover any of the any information for the Dogwood Planning Grant for the opioid settlement funds. That is completely separate money from the National Opioid Settlement Funds, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about that. You know, there are separate efforts ongoing for those grant funds as well.
Anybody have any questions? So, we need to, we don't need to make a decision on that today, or do we?
You don't need to make a decision today. It's the hope that you guys will be able to review the memo and the recommendations from the advisory committee, come to a consensus amongst yourselves as to which organizations you'd like to fund and for how much. It's the hope that we might be able to know that information by June 17th. Where at that point I would be able to actually present a resolution, and there would need to be an amendment to the county budget ordinance to approve the specific amount of funding for what you would like to fund for the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, let's move to 3.3.
Mr. Chair, could we?
Yes.
Is there, question, because that timeline is kind of short.
Yeah, it is. That's kind of why I asked about the...
Can we address that as a body here, or is there anyone have any reservations about moving forward with that?
Well, we've got the committee, they've made their recommendation, you know, we trust them, or at least I hope we do.
Robert, you got any?
Why would you appoint a committee if you're not going to trust it to make the recommendations to you?
Ms. Martha?
It's a lot to think about, how much it's going to be, but we do have to face it between, like she said, the deadline, was it June the 17th?
Yeah.
Well, I think, Ms. Price can correct me, I think that was the hope, so it would go into effect at the new fiscal year. I think
Yes.
that was the basis for the deadline. I don't know that it's a requirement.
Yes, it's not a requirement for June 17th by any means. The hope is that organizations would be able to get their checks and start programming by July 1. And so just to give ourselves a little bit of time for your finance staff to actually get those checks out for these organizations, the hope was that by June 17th.
But it would still have to come back before the board, because the final MOUs will have to be approved.
Right. So would probably be best just to talk about it.
I think it would be July before those MOUs could be before the board for approval.
Well, we are going to have a special meeting.
What day is that?
Well, we were looking possibly at June the 17th. On that Monday.
Well, I think at that time, then maybe the board could, if the board chose to do so, they could indicate whether or not they had consensus of those funding amounts, and then have the resolution and MOUs before the board in July.
Was that feasible to everybody? I mean, or do you want to? I mean, that's fine.
Well, in full disclosure, I'm the commissioner representative on that committee, so
You're not going to change your mind.
At this point.
Well, if you think it'd be best, if we're going to do that on the 17th, if we can have everything ready by that, you're not going to be ready before July 1st, or you think we should go ahead and make a decision on it? I mean, what's...
Well, I think if the board can give Ms. Price consensus, if the board has that special meeting, like June 17th, then we can go ahead and plan on having the MOUs and the resolution
Okay.
ready at the July session, and then.
So we can go ahead and do a
and then-
consensus today.
And that, well, you could do,
Is that what you're
you could do consensus at
On
the,
17th?
on the 17th.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that way, the MOU and resolution would be ready in July, and we're meeting early in July, and then Caleb would be ready to go ahead and cut the checks early in the fiscal year.
I want to be the devil's advocate. I know when we talked about this last year, we talked that there had to be some accountability, that the funds were spent appropriately. Has that been taken into consideration?
It has been, yes. For the two organizations that received funding in the first year, there was an additional component to the application when they submitted an application for a second year of funding, where they detailed what they were planning to do to expand on some of the programming that they had accomplished in the first year. In addition to that, organizations will be expected to provide both a narrative and a financial progress report during a meeting of the Drug Crisis Roundtable at the approximate halfway point of the grant period. That would be hopefully at the December, if I remember correctly, 19th meeting of the Drug Crisis Roundtable. Organizations will then also be expected to provide a brief program overview at the public input meetings that will be held next spring here in Avery County. And then there will also be, at the end of the grant term, there will be a narrative and a budget report that will be presented within 60 days of the conclusion of the grant term to you for at one of your commissioner meetings.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I'll just say, we can't do this without the High Country Council of Governments.
Sure.
And Sarah, thank you for the job you've done.
The amount of work that goes into this process and meeting all the requirements is truly extraordinary, and Sarah's guidance of the group through that and through the scoring and receiving of the applications and being the liaison with the organizations is truly invaluable. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And my
Thank you.
contact information is in the memo. If you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer that for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to 3.3, D, lease agreement between Avery County and Linville Resorts.
So for your consideration, board, you have a lease agreement between Avery County Linville Resorts for the recovery site at Linville to be considered today for your adoption. This lease shall renew automatically for successive years of 10 years terms. And if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. There is a map showing the orange area is what we are currently leasing, and we will be adding to that the pink area. And Linville Resorts has already signed the resolution.
So we need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
For the lease, I'm sorry, not a resolution,
Yeah.
lease.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Need a second.
Second.
Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Okay. Let's go to 3.3F, resolution conveying property back to the Avery County Board of Education after a deed of trust has been satisfied.
So before you is a resolution for your consideration that whereas the Board of Education deeded to the County of Avery certain property located in Altamont Township, North Carolina, being the same being recorded in Book 335, page 872 of the Avery County Register of Deeds. And whereas the deed of trust which was secured by the above referenced property has now been satisfied of record, therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 160A 274, the Avery County Board of Commissioners authorizes the conveyance of the 13-acre tract referenced above, upon which the new Crossmore Elementary School is situated, to the Avery County Board of Education.
Need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All right, let's move to 3.3G, JCPC County Funding Plan.
So board, you have before you the planned, the funding plan for the 24-25 year, fiscal year for the JCPC, as it's well known. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Aldridge for any questions, since he chairs that board.
Well, this is the same funding from the state that has been, that same number, 88,523, has been in place at least 4 years and maybe longer, no increase. Same funding looking ahead for next year. The county match is set at 30% of that amount. And you will see the 5 programs there that are funded through that. Avery Mentoring through the Western Youth Network, Avery County Team Leadership through Mountain Alliance, Juvenile Mediation through the Mediation and Restorative Justice Center, Project Challenge, and the Sentencing Circles program also through Mediation and Restorative Justice. And JCPC is kind of unique, and it is one of the only local committees and organizations that is allowed to distribute state money as they see fit, basically. And this was this funding plan was a result of discussion among the members as to how the money would be divided up based on the performance of the programs, and each of the programs is monitored on an annual basis to see how they adhere to both their standards of financial responsibility and the number of youth that they serve.
Any questions? Need a motion to approve the JCPC County funding plan.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Okay, thank you. Need to go to 3.3H. There will be 2 resolutions here. A resolution authorizing levying a 6% room occupancy tax in Avery County District A, and a resolution creating the Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority.
So for your consideration, the first resolution is, whereas the North Carolina General Assembly ratified Session Law 2023-144, Senate Bill 154, an act to make various occupancy tax changes during the 23 legislative session effective October 25th, 2023, and that the Avery County Board of Commissioners, acting in its capacity as the governing board of Avery County District A, and pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute and North Carolina Session Law, hereby levies an occupancy tax of 6% of gross receipts derived from the rental of an accommodation within Avery County District A that is subject to sales tax imposed by the state of North Carolina under General Statute 105-164.4A3. This taxation, in addition to any state or local sales tax, and the tax is effective at 12 a.m. on the first day of August 2024, being the same being the first day of the second calendar month after the adoption hereof. And be it further resolved that the proceeds from the 6% room occupancy tax shall be collected and distributed in accordance with provisions of the North Carolina Session Law 2023-144, and shall be administered by the Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority as established under a separate resolution adopted by the Avery County Board of Commissioners. The Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority shall use at least 2/3 of its net proceeds from the room occupancy tax levied hereunder to promote travel and tourism in Avery County District A, and shall use the remainder 1/3 of said net proceeds for tourism and related expenditures in the Avery County District A.
Okay, thank you. I'll need a motion to adopt this resolution for the 6% room occupancy tax.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, here's the next one.
The next resolution,
It's not basic.
yeah. The next consideration is a resolution creating the Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority. Whereas the Board of Commissioners, you just approved the District A has adopted a resolution levying a room tax of 6%, and whereas the Board of Commissioners, in its capacity as the governing board of Avery County District A, desires to adopt this resolution, creating the Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority in accordance with the provisions of the enabling statute. The Avery County Board of Commissioners, acting in its capacity as the governing board of Avery County District A, does hereby create and establish the Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority, hereinafter called the TDA. The same to be constituted as follows to operate under the following terms and conditions. There will be a general purpose and authority. They must report quarterly to the Board of Commissioners. Membership, the TDA shall have at least 7 members. Meetings shall be at least once per quarter. Officers shall consist of the chair, the vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. The chair, vice chair, and secretary shall be designated as persons from the county commissioners. The treasurer is the Avery County Finance Officer or such employee as said office as the Avery County Finance Officer may be designated. There are duties for the officers, committees consisting of a marketing committee, a budget and finance committee, and an administrative committee. Again, the finances, the Avery County Finance Officer or such employee, the said office of the Avery County Finance Officer may be designated by an employee. Employee and staff, miscellaneous as far as policies, conflict of interest, and amendment of repeal. Any questions? Because
That's a lot.
not reading it word for word. And Michelle, thank you for working tirelessly on this.
I need a motion to adopt the resolution creating the Avery County District A Tourism Development Authority.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, look at some more work.
Yep. Go to 3.4A, County Commissioner Reports and Requests, County Manager Report, Philip Barrier Jr. You got through talking, but you can keep going.
Okay, so just want to report that the Avery County Parks and Rec had their first public input on the new proposed recreation center. That was Saturday at the pool. There will be several other opportunities for citizens to also put in their public input about what they would like to see at our new recreation center. So just wanted to mention that under general updates. Want to thank the great job that our North Carolina Extension Office does. They had their report to the people in May, so job well done. In your package, you'll see a jail inspection on May 15th where no corrective action is necessary. And also, I'd like to point out the letter from the sheriff about the 3 detention officers that practically saved a life. So we're proud of our employees. Just a reminder, the Avery Museum and Historic Society will have the Heritage Festival on the square June 29th from 9 to 3. And there is an opportunity, Judge Hal Harrison is retirement, and that is June 28th from 1 to 3 in the courtroom. I'd like to go on to the internet broadband. So the GRADE grant is moving along. However, the company has asked for an extension on the grant. And the CAB grant, the process is moving forward, and there's no information that can be shared at this time. But I promise it is moving forward. I'd like to ask the public and the citizens, got some emails today, please email Jeffrey Brooks at his personal office email address about if you do not have fiber in your home. So this is on the internet, it's on social media, but we do need those surveys. That will help tremendously on the next round of funding. And believe it or not, that's all I have.
Good for you. Let's move to 3.4B, Finance Officer Report, Mr. Caleb Hogan.
Good afternoon, board. Thankfully, I have a lot load for this evening. Just have one budget amendment, and it's an easy one. Item number one, the Department of Senior Services has received an American Rescue Plan Act funding grant in the amount of $15,496 to help offset the increased cost of food. Request the board to accept the grant and approve the following budget amendment to debit supplies food $15,496 and to credit senior services revenue $15,496.
So moved.
Second, before you had something else.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Is that it? Thank you.
Wow.
Today.
Don't get used to it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to 3.4C, County Attorney Report. Ms. Ford, you have anything?
I do not have anything for the board's consideration. If you haven't already looked at.
Okay, let's go to 3.6, closed session. Have anything for closed session?
I do not have anything.
Okay. 3.7, approval of minutes, April 24th, 2024 budget workshop, and May the 6th, 2024 regular meeting. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Move to 3.8, agenda consent items. Everybody had a chance to look over those, and if no questions or nothing, we will approve those by consent. And we need to go over informational items. Do you have anything on that for sure?
Just a letter from the sheriff's office, and there is a veteran service report in there, so I'd like to brag on her and that office, and the Heritage Day reminder for June 29th.
Okay. All right. And list of upcoming meetings, 3.10.
Okay, so we were looking at doing a special meeting on June the 17th because we got to do a few things to end up the fiscal year.
Okay.
So if that's good with the board.
That's where Caleb will have a bunch of stuff.
Yep, that's it.
That's a Monday.
You got it.
That is a Monday, right?
That is a Monday.
Yes.
It's the 17th.
We're going to come at 6 or earlier.
Well, we can do a 3:30 or 4.
That is the same day that I've got High Country Council of Governments.
So we need to do it
Do it early.
If
earlier.
we could do it earlier, it would help me to squeeze both those in.
Okay. I don't see why, is everybody good with doing it early? Rob?
I think I'm gonna beat you, but I ain't sure.
Okay, Rose.
I know I won't be here.
He won't be here, so that's,
Okay.
keep going.
So we've got 3, we'll make them.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
You wanna go ahead and, is that okay with Woody and Robert to go ahead and get it done?
Yeah.
You're going to miss the budget amendments at the tie of the year, the end of the year budget amendments.
Or you wanna say 3:30 or on the 17th? Okay,
If that's okay with the board.
that's good.
That's fine with me, and that'll help Dennis now.
Yeah.
I appreciate all that Dennis does on the boards and the whole board that has all kinds of boards.
Let's do that. And then the July meeting is supposed to be on the 1st.
Yes.
And that's, I won't be here, but I'll be gone on vacation, but if they want to have it, that's totally up to them. I mean, if they want to have
Whatever
it.
the board, what's
Well,
the
as
pleasure of the
our
board?
stated meeting day, we'd have to break policy if we went to another day,
We would-
because that is the first Monday.
Yeah, I mean, we can,
However.
whatever the board wants to do.
Just so we have a quorum.
July the 1st, okay with us, y'all?
I don't know that I'll be here.
What about you?
I'll be here.
Y'all be here, well, go for it.
Do you all want to leave it on July the 1st?
I can care less, whatever they want.
I mean, like I said, I won't be here, but I'm, you know, that's up to you. You guys, if you want to go ahead and get it out of the way and get it done, that's fine with me. What do you say?
I would,
You good?
I like keeping it on the cycle.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. And you're good, you'll be here?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's do July 1st. Regular time, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
That'll work? Okay. Is that all? All right. Need a motion to adjourn? Let's go home. Wait a second, that.
Just take out the room with you.
Yep. Well, I know I'm gonna be out.
If I can. Yeah, I would like to have a protocol.